think I sent it to you. It should be in your email. Um,
If you
Yeah.
send it today, I haven't got it. Today is daycare.
um, First on the agenda, I don't think we need to do introductions, but if anyone's got any group updates or organizational updates that they want to share.
Um, yeah, I wanted to talk to you guys um about the Coalition for Sports Equity. They have a member working session tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Um, and they have over 63 different people invited. And I've attended for the last few months. It has people from all over the country that sign on and talk about play equity, and so I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. We're, I started participating as I was trying to prepare for the grant process with Kaufman, and it's been a great relationship. There, Adrian Moore, who we've worked with before, is a part of that. The Kings County group. There's always someone there from Play Equity Fund in Los Angeles. Um, it's pretty well represented. Someone from Philadelphia is there that is there all the time. That seems like they know what they're doing. Anyway, it's an interesting group. A lot of people like-minded doing the work. So um, certainly wanted to let you guys know about it. If you're interested, I can include a link to it.
So is that play equity group you're talking about? Is that like a national group then? For
It's
those 63
it's a
people from
coalition of
all over?
it's like a member group of coalitions. So it's leadership from coalitions across the country. It includes Laureus, a lot of nonprofits that are part of coalitions show up. It's got the people from, like I said, the Play Equity Fund. It has people from education. Temple University has a representative. People
So is
from
it separate from the Play Equity Fund?
Yeah, it's
It's a
a member
different.
from the Play Equity Fund there, but it's separate from
Okay.
that. Yeah, it's part of social justice for sports or something. It's Adrian Moore works for CHJS, the Center for something justice in sports, health and justice in sports, or something. I don't know. You guys have met? I think we've met Adrian before. Um, Perhaps, maybe not. But anyway,
Is this their website, Bill?
are you showing me something? Hold on.
In the chat, there's a link.
Oh, okay, hold on. Sorry, I got lost. Yes, that's their website, Coalitions for Sports Equity.
Good. I'm glad you're going to that, Bill. I was going back through my emails. I spoke with Adrian 3 years ago, I think it was, and did have an invite to that meeting, and then either I got dropped or Children's Mercy blocked the messages. Um, so we haven't been
What
going.
happens?
Glad you've been going. And Natalie, if you have time tomorrow, and if Bill wants to share the meeting info, that'd be great if you could make it.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
just signed up for their newsletter too.
perfect.
It was pretty loosey goosey when I went. They were still trying to find out what they were trying to do, but that was 3 years ago. So
They're serious now, and they talk about legislation. They
yeah,
talk about a lot of different things that are timely. They wanted to know about how Coffin was handling things, and you know, I I still feel like the idea of forming a group, a coalition, following the advice of the um, state of play for Kansas City is the right thing to do. But I also think that if I had it to do over again, I probably would have taken a longer pause and probably not have moved forward like I did. But neither here nor there. Like I said in this Play Equity Coalition discussion, I got to meet so many great people. So through the process, there's so many people out there that believe that this is something worthwhile. You know, Robin, we had that discussion about the difference between what the sports sector and the Kansas City Physical Activity Plan is trying to do as opposed to what a Play Equity Coalition would do. And I think there's a marrying of ideas there that probably would make us stronger if we just found a way to incorporate it all together and went forward, you know, as a partnership. So you know, that's something that you and I can, and even Pete can talk about, what we think, because I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Did you ever get comments back from your application? You know, sometimes they give you like some of the reviews that
yesterday I got a form, you know, a form letter that we can push up against what I've submitted and get a feel for what I could have done better or we could have done better. But mostly I have not gotten anything directly from them. Mostly I've been disappointed in their ability to communicate to me specifically. And I think, you know, hurts my ego and everything, but whatever. It's not about me, but
these
I just wish
foundations they can be
I just
hard.
wish they would have, I just wish somebody would have said, hey, nice try, dude, you know, but I didn't get that. So.
Health Forward was always the same way, you know, back they don't fund any of our stuff now, but even back when we were submitting stuff to them, we would bend over backwards to try to meet with them, have them give us feedback. You know, we'd bounce ideas off and we'd respond to everything that they would suggest, and then they still would not fund us, and you just like, well,
Yeah.
you know, at some point it's like, well, it's not me, it's you. So
Yeah.
Probably comes down to who knows what pet projects somebody else has, what relationship somebody has with somebody.
Yeah, I when you look at the 6 that they funded, and they had 68, they said, so it wasn't like they didn't have a few. They had a lot, so that made me feel a little better. But the 6 that they funded are already well established and already functioning at a really high level, and already they have outcome data that we didn't have, and I thought that they were going to give us grace. Hey, Greg, thanks.
I'm muted.
Glad you're here. I thought they were going to at least acknowledge the fact that we were going to work through those issues, but those are issues that have to be solved before we take another run at it. And so we need to establish some really clear programs that have data that comes back with positive impact, and that may take us a while. I don't know, or it may be already out there. So one thing I like about this coalition group that meets tomorrow is you have these coalitions that have been out there doing this work, facing the same issues. I think if I would have listened to them a little bit, they would have told me that this outcome data is so hard to get and takes years to get, and to try to link physical activity, exercise, and sports to developing a more, college prepared students or economic mobility, which were the 2 things that Kaufman wanted from us, that's a leap that they couldn't make. So I don't know.
yeah,
Even though the science is there.
and not everything's a good fit, you know, too. So sometimes you can't make a circle fit in a square hole.
No, you can't. So, but I do think that there's a lot of people out there that feel like we need to do better funding kids in sports and physical activity. So that has been soundly confirmed, and met with a lot of people's enthusiasm when even at our coffee that we had, there's the energy around this whole idea. And so,
That's next on the agenda, Bill, if you want to like give a recap of how that first coffee meetup went.
well, yeah, I think everyone really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. We had a really diverse group. Kelsey Ahern from Homefield was there. Alec Lemon came from Toka FC, which he's the community engagement person there, and Toka is performing at a really high level, doing really great things. We had a jujitsu guy there named Ray Freeman, and he has one community, which is a 501c3 that's bringing jujitsu to under-resourced kids, and he's awesome heart for it. And then Jason Holzer, who we've met, and he came and he's kind of a for-profit youth development person, and then Peter and I and then of course Natalie was there. So really great group. We sat around and had a really nice discussion about what we were doing, and a lot of it centered around the state of play report, and then the Kansas City Play Equity Coalition ideas. But I think that people wanted to do it again. I know that Lene, who is now running the school sector, I think for you guys, she wants to host at Ruby Jeans sometime soon. So I think every other, for 2 weeks, we one week out of the month we do this, and 1 week out of the month we do a meet and greet with people, and invite people to come out, and it seemed like something that could grow. And that face-to-face engagement, I think, is could be an important part of how we move this sports sector forward.
Has the Ruby Jeans? Oh, you just put it in the chat. Okay, that's been scheduled on what's the date?
She hasn't created a graphic for it yet, but I think I did talk to Lene this morning, and she wanted to make sure we talked about it today. So
cool. Very cool.
Yeah. And just as organizationally, I'll just say that Lene has come alongside me to help me lead ShareWaves as a co-leader and merge our two organizations, because we both have similar ideas and thoughts. But she brings an expertise in nonprofit leadership and in governance that I don't have, and that I severely lack, and I think is directly attributable to some of my failures in raising more money. I just feel like I haven't been able to institutionally present ShareWaves in a way that builds trust or an understanding, and it's hard to do. I mean, but so she has actually come in and really scrutinized some of the things that I've done, and asked me to stop doing anything until we can solidify what ShareWaves is trying to do. But we're still moving forward.
She's Elon Musking you.
She is. She really is. Which is so good for me. So anyway, we're still doing March Gladness because of our partnership with Homefield. That's moving forward. 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We have 8 or 9 teams signed up so far. Our goal is to have, as many teams as possible. But if we have it in a small scale and have 4 courts, then that's good. If we can get all 10 courts filled with kids playing, that's good too. And I'm pushing really hard on just promoting it this week. And like I said, I lost my cell phone 1 week, and then the next week my computer shot craps, and so technically I've had a really big struggle. But that also mirrors what's happening between Lene and I in ShareWaves. I'm being super, I don't know, settled down, I guess. Just kind of take a deep breath. So, it's all good. We're doing a 3-on-3 basketball tournament. We're also doing a 3-day soccer clinic during March Gladness too. So, and we'll do a 3-hour radio show, which I'd love to feature Kansas City Physical Activity Plan as a part of that 3-hour radio show. And we can talk about that too.
Peter, do you have anything else you wanted to add that you took away from that meetup?
No, I mean, I thought that was pretty good. The one thing I might add is wasn't a part of the meetup, but I know Bill grabbed the new Jackson County prosecutor while we were standing there waiting for our coffee, just by happenstance, and was talking to her. And whether it was just her being nice or not, she seemed genuinely interested in what we were there talking about.
Well, she's a college athlete, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And
So
she's trying to figure out youth violence, and she's got a severe, a huge issue on her hands with these young people that don't have anything to do. And
So connecting that to our conversation, I think last time about, potentially the route of violence prevention in using that as a platform or sports as a platform, kind of using that route, especially with funding and this city of Kansas City. Yeah, maybe there's a connection there. But that's the only thing I would potentially add. I don't know if you followed up on that at all, Bill, but that was a sort of good chance meeting, I guess.
it's funny, someone else asked me that yesterday. She is on my list, but because of everything I've already talked about, it's one of those things where I know eventually I want to get to a point where I at least reach out to her and we have a coffee or a lunch. But I know Mayor Lucas is involved and wants to be involved in that conversation too. So perhaps there's I tread lightly because I don't quite understand how Kansas City politics works, but she seemed to be very enthusiastic about the ideas. So,
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I think that I wanted to talk about something today. So at our PRISM, that's with an M at the end, not an Pediatric Research and Sports Medicine meeting last weekend. Kevin Latz, one of our surgeons, got together a nice panel. He didn't ask me about it beforehand, and I would have loved to have been on that, talking about the KCPA plan as part of it. So I gave him a little crap for that. But he got together a nice panel just about youth sports and where we're going and where we've been. And the two non-medical speakers there, the non-medical professionals, there were a couple docs and a couple of like policy experts and physical activity experts, but the two I guess, again, medical people were Nick Garcia was on there from Brookside Soccer. And then I forgot the name of the other guy, but he's Cambridge, Massachusetts, their soccer program. They're both talking about how they have continued to do youth soccer at a rec level. And the one in Cambridge, they actually completely got rid of their elite soccer and just went all rec. And they actually started getting more kids involved, made more money. It was a better program altogether. And then eventually they worked back into some elite stuff, but it was kind of mild elite. It was still stay in this city. You play the elite stuff on Sunday, like the three best kids from any team go and play on Sunday, but they have to play on Saturdays with their rec neighborhood team as well. So they like made a rule basically to keep it local and to keep it rec. And the Knicks, model is so good. It's not perfect by any means, but it's just such a good model of keeping kids involved all the way up through high school. I mean, they got kids who stayed through with that program through high school, and I guarantee you, the other big soccer organizations in Kansas City do not get that continued involvement, and to the point where Knicks even got adults playing, doing like Wednesday evening rec adult soccer. They bring out Boulevard Brewery, they bring out the the Rieger Distillery, all that kind of stuff. So I think, I still think that one of our big goals with the KCPA plan was to get people together and collaborate and learn from each other. And I'm just wondering how we can get more people in front of Nick and have him show his process. But along that, with the Jackson County prosecutor with Quentin Lucas, Nick was saying his biggest barrier still is space. I mean, it cost them $250,000 a season, so spring and fall, to rent those fields down at Swope. And that is so much money. And there's still not enough space for everybody who wants to do it. So, the city has to be involved in that. It has to help develop more space that can be used. And I mean, I think those are some of the big barriers, because you want to keep people local. I mean, if people can't get to a place, especially people who already have transportation issues, they're not going to get involved in any of these youth sports. So keeping it local is so important. And you can cross play in Kansas City, but even that's kind of a pain in the butt for some players. I mean, I just know from doing my daughter's stuff. I mean, we said we would not be traveling, but still we're driving all the way out to, you know, Western Olathe every Saturday, which is not an easy thing to do, especially when you got other kids playing sports. So, you know, I think those are the biggest barriers as our city, because it's so spread out. It's a wonderful city, but it's so spread out and it's so divided by state line, by county, by, you know, a little bit by race, at least, definitely by socioeconomic class. And I think that is one of the big things we still need to get the KC appealing kind of focused in that direction. And again, Nick's just, I mean, he's so good at just talking about it. But I still think of all the things I've heard of in Kansas City, I think his model just works the best because it works financially. I mean, they get more players, they get parent involvement, all this kind of stuff, but it also works to get more kids staying with it. So it kind of does both things, which makes sense. If you're doing both, one is going to follow the other, both directions. You know, it's chicken or the egg, but they both work.
Yeah. Yeah, I coached with Brookside Soccer for 8 years, 9 years. I loved it. I loved the energy. I loved the environment. I thought it was, I always appreciated the coaches meetings at the beginning of the year, and Nick would get up and share what his vision was. And so,
Except for parking. Parking is the only bad thing. Or
Especially
leaving the
whenever
parking lot.
At Swope,
yeah.
you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. And I was thinking about that too when you sent me that message that weekend. And I don't know what happened with Nick and our work, because he was early on coming to some meetings and was sort of involved, and then he just kind of disappeared.
Well, I think he passed it off to Diego,
Yeah.
who's like technically in charge of everything, but I don't know that
I'll reach back out to
Diego
him.
is that interested in it.
Yeah.
I think that social part of it might be a little more Nick's interest. So if we can reel him back in a little bit. And I talked to him.
Right.
I'll reach
tried
back
to
out to
say,
him.
hey, you need to jump
I've
back
been
in
looking
here.
for a reason to call him anyway. So
Yeah.
Well,
we're doing that clinic at Swope Village. So
and I guess this might fit into, like, sometimes, you know, when things are, you know, just kind of abstract, you know, hey, let's talk. It's hard to get people to really, you know, get involved. But you may remember, maybe you don't even know, we did have Aspen Institute still is contractually obligated to do one more thing with us. And I don't even know when it was. I think it was probably beginning of January. I just touched base with them and was just like, hey, I think we need to start talking about this one more thing. And we bounced around a couple ideas. They're gonna get back to me probably maybe even this week, maybe next week, about some options of what to do. And the leading thing seemed to be some sort of a like 3/4 day, full day type event where it's where it'd be a little bit different than the summit we did a year ago. It would be more focused around like local collective action for youth sports providers in a variety of different areas, whether it's, you know, Pete, you're just talking about coaches, how to get and train quality coaches, how to do, Jay, like what you were talking about, let's look at what Brookside Soccer is doing for like rec sports throughout the lifespan, things like that.
highlighting some of the good things that are happening in the city that support what their findings were. And
yeah, it'd be like they caught on to the idea of like that. The one bad thing about the summit last year, and a couple people mentioned it, there was a lot of like sitting and listening to other people talking. They were thinking for this one, there would be some of that, but a lot of it would be like like workshop type stuff, like how, Bill, how do we start a play equity coalition? Exactly what do we need to do? What are the pieces that we need to do for that? So anyway, I don't have anything specific, but Aspen should send a proposal back to us relatively soon. And we would, just realistically, it'll be like a fall event probably, just to plan it and everything. So that's kind of on the radar, but it would be good to connect with Nick, now, just to kind of prime that pump for.
Yeah, start thinking about different organizations that might want to be able to share their story, their testament, their ideas.
Yeah, and like Pete, I guess maybe be kind of thinking about how you do this. You do this, you train organizations how to do this. So
Right.
any input
Yeah.
you have would be awesome. Or if you guys want to be involved, awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'll think about it and figure out how that might best fit. I mean, I was just thinking even, I'll put our link. This is kind of a side note, but it applies. I'll put a link to we just launched registration for our summer conference, which is kind of our big event every year at Notre Dame. So I'll put a link here in a second in the chat, but, more information on that. But one of the things we try to do that I think is really effective is focus, even the keynote speakers, we ask them to have some element of their presentation that is discussion with people in the crowd. So talk with the people around you about an action item related to this. So just sort of as best practices, something that does that, I think might be really helpful. And might have, we talked about just a minute ago, folks losing engagement. I think a good way to bring people back in is that idea of, look, we're going to give you something tangible to take home and an opportunity to learn from, the guy next door who's running the league over here. So out there.
If it's if it's in the fall, is there more of an opportunity to maybe get some Kansas City Sports Commission heft behind it, since they'll be done with the World Cup and not have all that on their plate? Because I imagine one of the reasons no one's been very engaged from that is because they're busy with World Cup and
Well, it'd be
Super
this
Bowls and all
fall.
that kind of stuff.
It would be this fall. So
Yeah.
World Cup is probably still in the mind, but you're exactly right. We need to get them involved. Did you go to the banquet last week?
I did not, but our head athletic trainer did, and she said it was awesome. But
it's just awesome.
we used to be in charge of giving away one of the awards.
Yeah.
But Greg knows more about that than I do.
Yeah, I was wondering why Stephanie Meyer was up there, not one of you guys.
Hospital, I don't know.
Hospital politics.
Took it away from sports medicine for some reason.
I'm gonna keep quiet on that conversation.
We hear you. We're feeling the same thing, but yeah, I don't know if you went, Greg, but it was awesome. You just watch this and come away inspired by all the great things happening here.
Well, the other thing that that I'm noticing is that these play equity coalitions across the country, they are investing in a play day for their whole entire city. I know June 28th is their play equity fund out of LA. They do a big play day for the whole city. Have all their sports teams involved. I think it's something, in terms of, gathering people together, bringing people together to talk about this, having opportunities to share the message, but also practice what we preach could be something that this sports sector puts on its, maybe not this year, but I don't know, maybe this year.
I think at one of the summits, they talked about this whole state of Colorado did one of those play days.
Yeah. Yep. A big funding thing. They raised $13 million.
Yeah, so we figure out how to do that. and
Yeah.
raise 13 million, that'd be great as well. Get to thinking about that.
Well, that is one of the things. I mean, money is obviously huge. I would be interested in all those other play equity coalitions and things like Kings County. I know that well, I don't know about all of them, but I think Dodgers in LA and the Kings County thing with Amazon have had tons of just money to work with. I don't know if we got anything like that. I mean, I know we got our $6,000 grants per sector, but I mean, that's not $15 million from Amazon or whatever Kings County got to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been like a challenge to talk to some of these organizations, especially the pros teams. They are not particularly interested in supporting some of this stuff, at least in, you know, how we've been presenting it. But and that's kind of why, like Aspen, you know, because Aspen shared all the findings with all the pro sports teams, and you know, it was like crickets. And so that's kind of part of why their thinking was, you know, the next thing is like mobilizing grassroots type stuff, since it doesn't seem like there's going to be a significant investment from the top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
And like I even went out to Garmin and like presented it stuff to Garmin, and you know, like it kind of, well, I won't share what I was feeling, but they're like, oh, we do so much to support this. We sponsor the marathon and we sponsor our own marathon. And I was like, these are road races. I mean, like, this is different than what we're talking about. So they just continue to need to be, you know, kind of convinced that this is a priority.
Yeah, the Play Equity Fund started something they call the Alliance, and they have all 12 LA sports teams that it signed the Alliance. And I don't know what it costs to be a part of the Alliance, but those are the questions that I want to get answered. Same thing with you, Jay. I want to find out from this coalition group how they're working with their teams and how they get them to pay attention.
I do have one update from this morning. So after last month's meeting, Jason Holzer connected me with the Blue KC people, and we just finally were able to meet this morning. It was just a pretty quick conversation, but they were the ones that it was like 50-50 with them and the Royals on the Shut Out the Stigma campaign, which, you know, we're big fans of. They would like to, they now have, in addition to the documentary that they made, they have a training module to go along with it. I'll put it in the chat in just a second, but they've kind of softly rolled that out. They want to start spreading the word on it. And so I told them, we're happy to help. Here are the things that we can offer to them, you know, like this morning. So I offered them to speak at the March quarterly meeting. They're going to decide in about a week whether they can pull it off.
Was it Mitch Wheeler and Chad Waller?
It was Chad Waller, and then the other guy, Mitch, is that who you said?
Wheeler, yeah.
Yeah, he was going to make it, but there was an emergency actually in his neighborhood a medical emergency, so he couldn't attend. But yeah, it was those two guys. And he was going to try to coordinate with the Royals too, apparently. Anyone know Tony Sneathan from the Royals? He's in there. That was done with the Royals, mostly done with the Royals communication and marketing people, not with the community foundation people who we've been working with. So they're kind of separate. But anyway, they may be coming to the March meeting. They definitely will come to the March sports sector meeting. And then we just talked about other ways that we could help them share that message and get the word out. And then hopefully this is like a good goodwill gesture where we can, maybe it leads to other things. So it was a good conversation, and they were very happy to see what we were doing and thought that there were opportunities going forward. So thought that was good.
Cool. I'm wondering about the next sports sector meeting because we talked about it being a guest presentation meeting. So I don't know if it's the best one for them to
Okay.
attend the first time.
Sure.
Oh, because of wishing.
Mm-hmm.
Who's gonna present?
Wishing. They're that,
Yeah.
yeah, the
The
girls
women's in
like
sports
mentorship
league?
program
yeah.
in sport.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. I told him, we meet every month, so just bump it to the
Well,
next one.
yeah, maybe the sports sector has yeah. So we're doing that with the school sector.
Mm-hmm.
You know how long they're planning on presenting? Hopefully I'm gonna be able to join on Friday, so have
I
more
think
information, but
we'll know more. We're meeting with them on
Okay.
Friday to talk
Yeah.
about it. So
hopefully
I
I'll be
guess
there.
yeah. I mean, we
Yeah.
could probably decide that ourselves, how long we want them to talk.
I was just gonna say, because one of the things that we've had success with is doing like 20 to 30 minutes of the presentation and then having discussion afterwards. And that might actually be a good thing to invite somebody to who's never been before, because it's just a little more structured as opposed to us talking about different stuff. Not that that's not great for us, but if you're an outsider, it might actually feel a little more, okay, I'm watching this presentation, and then go from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Agree.
Well, let's once we meet with them on Friday, let's decide how we want to handle the next meeting with them.
The only other thing I know, Bill, you've got to get running here in just a second. So the only thing I was just gonna say, I don't really have anything formal to present at this moment, but we did wrap up the physical activity mapping project. Now the report is long, and so Natalie and I have been going through it. The database is huge. The only thing I'll show is I'll just share my screen just for a second so you can. Oh boy, it's not working. I may not be able to. Okay, sorry, I got a new computer, gotta grant all this access, grant this access, just a second.
I can give updates on the survey while you're doing that.
Yeah, do that.
Thank you for everyone that completed it. For the phase 2 of this, we were going to do a deeper dive into 5 sports, and based on the responses we got, it was like flag football was of high interest, as well as soccer and adaptive sports. So those 3 are definitely going to be ones that we do, as well as tackle football and dance are the ones that we settled on.
Yeah,
So
thanks,
I guess if
everybody.
you guys have contacts within those sports, that would be good for the team to interview as they're deep diving into that. I like that if you guys would send me contacts.
Okay.
You need contacts for people doing those sports in the area? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I can get you at least the CYO contacts for Kansas and Missouri, which
Okay.
flag football,
Flag football, tackle, dance, adaptive
yeah,
sports,
girls
and
flag
soccer.
football and tackle football, they have pretty decent leagues, I think, at this point. So,
All right, I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys.
Cool. See you, Bill.
hey, Bill.
And just following up on what Natalie said, I think the plan is we are going to reform the advisory committee for the mapping project. What I'm showing you on the screen right now for the second phase. So I do think at some point we'll formally reach out to, I think all of you guys were on it, formally reach out to you, and there may be a meeting like what we did before where Dr. Renz says, give us here's what we want to do, give us all your contacts, all that stuff. So I think that process will be similar to this one. So, right, Natalie, is that?
I think they got help from that group to determine the variables of interest too for the first phase.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And does
So,
this go, okay, this goes into more detail later on, like fees
oh my
and
gosh.
scholarships. Okay, so that's, okay, I assumed it did,
Yeah.
but now I'm reading the paragraph at the top, so, okay.
It is like, there's so
Super
much.
detailed.
It's so detailed. This is why, like, we actually haven't shared it. Because it's like, oh my gosh, what is actually really important? What is just more interesting? So anyway, there were 3,300 some programs. Here are all of them organized by sport. The caveat to all this is, and Dr. Renz said this multiple times, they still are finding programs. I mean, like, this is not a definitive list.
So that soccer, so there are 268 separate soccer programs throughout the region, but I guess something like Brookside has competitive, recreational, and instruction. So Brookside would have 3 level, like, is that?
This is
No.
a great question that I don't have an answer to.
Okay.
Because you're exactly right. Some things can be counted like multiple times, like a program, like you just said, they could have a instructional program, a rec program, a competitive program, an elite program. So is that counted one time? Is that counted 4 times? I don't know the answer to that right now.
It looks like it's probably, if it's total number of programs, 268, and then and I would imagine that just about every program has at least a recreational level and then instructional and
Yeah.
competitive in
It
a
must
lot of
only
them.
be counted once.
Yeah, which is reassuring. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a better, the fact that there are 268 programs and 266 of them have a recreational level
Right.
is
Right.
reassuring. But I guess, does that mean each program is the total thing? So like, is Brookside soccer one program, or is it every age group is listed as a different program? It just seems like a whole lot of different soccer programs for the city. Maybe
it should be every single program is listed separately. So if Brookside Soccer has 10 programs, they should have 10 separate entries in the database.
Okay. Well, that number makes more sense to me then. But
That
Yeah.
still seems though it would be, I mean, I'd be shocked if
lot.
there's only 2 programs that
Are just
have a
elite.
recreational level. I mean, I know programs that are really only an elite level or competitive
Yeah.
level. So that seems weird to me that number would be similar to the total number of programs.
I
Yeah.
think their
Unfortunately.
definition of elite was like extremely elite, like the
academy.
profession-
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Sporting
Yeah.
KC2 or whatever they're called.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like competitive level.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking the opposite way. I'm thinking that if there's 268 programs, there's got to be more than 2 that actually don't have a recreational level.
Yeah. The good news is these are great questions that I don't have answers to, obviously. We do have the database, and so we can dig into it. And we hope to. And just as we find time to do it. So anyway, this is the number of programs. Like I said, this is 70 pages. So we're still making our way through. Here is sports programs separated out by age, number, family programs. So there's a ton of information here. The one, and I won't make you dizzy by scrolling through, but I think it's right here.
Oh, that also includes every single high school and middle school, probably too.
Yes, it should.
So that makes more sense for I was thinking all just youth sports. I wasn't thinking even up to the high school level. Okay.
Sorry.
That because I guess they would count each high school separately in a district, each middle school separately in a district, probably. I don't know,
Yeah.
the numbers just seem really high to me. So that's why I'm wondering,
Yeah.
but if there are that many programs, then there's a lot of potential collaboration with the heads of those programs, right? I mean, if there's 268 totally separate programs, then there's 268 people in charge of soccer. I doubt that's the case. I would imagine there's one person in charge of many programs,
Yes, totally. Yeah.
hopefully. Otherwise, that's too many people to get in a room.
And it's in the report somewhere. It's, and I'm gonna mostly make this up, but and Natalie,
Sure.
correct me if you know the number, but it's like 400 organizations delivering 3,300.
I see 590 in the database.
590. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
So, but
so I
here's
wonder if
some things, like how many are focused on physical disability, 97, and so this is what I was having a meeting with. I shared this with some of the people at Children's who do disability stuff. I was like, is this right? What do you think? And, they're going to think about it.
So
Anyway.
on the collaboration part of it, I'm just thinking, 590 organizations is a lot to try to get people. But I mean, there's no way we get everybody to ever come to anything. I mean, it's just unrealistic. But if you can get a majority of people coming, is there a way for us to identify some model programs and try to get those people together in a group and then develop something there that is kind of hey, this is a good blueprint, and then hand it out to all the ones who don't show up and give them at least some extra ideas. Like I'm just, again, thinking about the collaboration part of it, which I think has been, unfortunately, our hardest part so far, is getting people to come and stay involved and, provide input and stuff.
I mean, this is similar to what Aspen proposed. They wanted Children's Mercy to take on, they were doing what you said through the form of this,
the Safe Stars program.
Yeah, exactly right. And the idea would be, here is the framework for what a model league should be, a model program should be. Here are the model programs. Here's how you can get to be a model program.
Yeah.
And
I did try to get in contact with the Tennessee folks. Vanderbilt, it's just been hard. I think they're really busy. Greg knows some of them, and I've emailed a few different people and haven't gotten really anything at all back. But it's just tough, and I haven't, like, Alex Diamond is the guy in charge, and I just haven't been able to really run into him in any meetings. I don't know if he's going to come into AMSSM this year, and if we can, pigeonhole him for an hour or 20 minutes or anything, really.
Buy him dinner some night. And
yeah.
So just to wrap up that mapping thing, if Shut Out the Sigma does not present at the March quarterly meeting, I've said that I'll present this data at that meeting, and I'll just, budget a couple days to really dig into it and look at the data and try to get at some of those questions that you guys were asking. And hopefully we can have a better understanding of all the intricacies of that program. The other piece is that hopefully by the end of this month, we're going to have all those programs up on kcsportsdirectory.org. They're building the website right now. They apparently have the data in there. They're just kind of testing it and doing some refining. So I do think by the end of the month, it'll be live. So
cool.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
The only other thing I had on the agenda was to check about who was planning to go to the Project Play Summit and then the Active Living Conference. If anyone's planning to go to those.
Yeah, I asked the Project Play people to include some CME in there so I could justify that going. They haven't done that in 2 years, so they said they're thinking about it.
Yeah. Peter, you going?
Yeah, I'll be there. Yep.
Great. Great. Natalie and I will be there.
Perfect.
Where is it this year?
Berkeley.
Berkeley.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
In May or something? June?
March
March.
24th.
Oh,
Yeah,
March. Oh, wow,
early.
that's
Yeah.
really fun.
It's like 2 months earlier than usual.
Okay.
Yeah.
I saw
then
Mike Lewis is the keynote.
Who is? Michael Lewis
Michael-
is?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
pretty interested in that. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess being in Oakland, you know, you gotta
Yeah.
do Moneyball.
Yeah.
You could bring the Moneyball guy. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. I hadn't heard that. It's awesome. The other one that Natalie mentioned, you've heard us talk about this Active Living Conference. It is the week before the Aspen Summit. It is a national conference that for some reason is in Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, yeah.
And it's 3 days. We have the detailed agenda, and it is designed to be like 50% research focus, 50% community / practitioner focused. And so we would, if people are interested locally, we would love to encourage them to get there. And we have a discount code. It's an expensive conference. It's like $500, but we do have a discount code. If registration is a barrier to some community organizations, we're happy to consider scholarship proposals too. We don't have anything formalized because no one's asked us yet, but if that is a need, we would be happy to work with people on that. I'm going to present on the CDC project on Wednesday of the conference, whenever that is. But there should be some other stuff there. Bike Walk KC is they're doing a workshop there. I think there's a couple other local things too. So
Take a look at that.
yeah, take a look. Let us know if you're interested. We can definitely give you the code, and if there's more needed beyond that, great. We'd be happy to find ways to help people because we're lucky that it's so close to us. So
I'll be skiing. Sorry.
oh
Rough life, right?
yeah, seems like you're always skiing. If you're not in clinic, you're skiing.
I'm going skiing this weekend too. So
Wow, good for you.
it's good to know people with houses. Then it's just skiing that I got to pay for. So makes it easier.
Cool.
Real quick, I put that link for our conference in the, but I'm
Oh,
glad you just said
yeah.
what you said. Here, I'll put it back in there. Because if anybody here wants to come to that, obviously it's in South Bend, Indiana, so it's a little bit of a trip. You got a hotel and everything, but I can get you a comp code so you can actually get free conference registration because it's a $500 conference. So if any of you would like to come to that, put it in there. It is a good. So it's probably about 150 people, but it's a really sort of very, I guess, diverse group from across the country. I mean, it's probably 50-50 like high school youth organizations and then a lot of community organizations, particularly from Chicago and South Bend and in the areas we work in, but like very grassroots inner city youth sports organizations. So it's a pretty good, and we focus a lot of it on discussion and meeting people and that kind of stuff. So it's a gorgeous campus, obviously. So it's fun to be there for a few days, but the people are pretty great too. And I don't know, before I started working for them, I went for 7 years as a partner just from Kansas City and learned a lot and met a lot of folks who are running similar organizations. So I think we do a nice job with it, but it is worth taking a look at, I think, because the people there are pretty great. So
Cool. That's awesome.
Yep.
The first person that came to mind is like, would Lene be like a good?
yeah, that might be a good, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
She would probably really, actually, I'll bring that up. I'll talk to her about it when I'll be at the coffee thing later this month or whatever. So I'll make sure I bring it up to people, but
Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Just a heads up, I
Yeah.
won't be able to make this one,
What? Oh, the
the
Rubik.
coffee meetup. Yeah,
Yeah.
I will also be
And-
skiing.
And apologies. Oh gosh, jeez, people.
holy skiing trips.
Yeah. I'd like to meet you too. I'll be honest. If it is, be a miracle if I get the kids out the door, but I'm gonna try to do it.
Well, I'll report back then after the 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might mention that one of our residents, she actually is from South Bend, big Notre Dame fan, and she's going to fellowship next year for sports medicine. Katie might be interested in something like that. So I'll pass the information on to her.
One of our speakers this year is Dr. Gerard. I never know how to pronounce his last name, but Gioia from the National Children's Hospital or whatever it is there in DC. You guys would know better than me, but he's going to give one of our presentations primarily on head injuries, traumatic head injuries, concussions. He's done a lot of that research with the NFL and stuff like that. So I see Greg nodding his head, but we met him at Project Play last year actually, and struck up a conversation. So he's going to come this year, and I mean, last year we had Nancy Michael, who's the head of neuroscience at the department at Notre Dame. She gave a whole presentation about the actual neuroscience behind play. That was super interesting. So we always try to have some things that are medical, some things that are more practical. Running a sports organization, there's usually like either an athlete panel or a panel of coaches, Notre Dame coaches usually, and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a mix of stuff, but.
That's awesome. Cool. All right.
A women's football person
Yeah.
too.
Thanks for covering, Greg.